Viewers, in just a few days, the Prime Minister will be in attendance as the Bhumi Puja will get underway in Ayodhya. There's already a controversy brewing, viewers, with a large number of individuals, call them lobbyists from the left brigade, or call them perpetual critics of the Prime Minister, or call them conscientious objectors, what you have. But they've already said that with the Prime Minister attending, he will be violating the oath that he took to uphold secularism under the Constitution. And we have with us no better individual than Dr. Subramanian Swamy to look at both the constitutional aspect of this debate and the larger debate which is raging among some sections of the Muslim community that still refuse to acknowledge that now that the order has gone in the way of the Hindu community, we should be moving on. So I want to begin with you, Dr. Swamy, first. Despite the fact that many previous prime ministers have attended religious events and programs, and you know, I don't need to jog your memory. You've got a first-hand ringside view through your life of history as it unspooled. Yeah. But Asaduddin Owaisi of the AIMM says that if the Prime Minister attends this Bhumi Pujan, it will violate the constitutional oath that he has taken to uphold secularism. Now, given that Mr. Owaisi is a sharp legal mind, do you agree with him, or is this a political symbolism on his part to try and polarize the debate?
See, the problem with Owaisi is that he reads the Constitution by cut and splicing. And that's why whenever he quotes the Constitution, you should have a Constitution in your hand. First of all, the most important part of the Constitution is what is called as the preamble. And in the preamble, the word worship and faith are both included as the basic structure of the Constitution. That is, no matter what, you can't amend it out. Now, you have accepted faith, which was also my contribution to the Ram Mandir debate, which was earlier on, Ram Mandir court case, which was earlier run only on the issue of property, whose property it is. And therefore, the Allahabad High Court decided, as all property disputes are decided, by dividing the property. So the new dimension I brought into the debate was that I have a fundamental right to pray where faith tells me Ram was born. And faith cannot be questioned. It was not questioned for Jesus Christ being born in Bethlehem. It is not questioned that Muhammad went from Al-Aqsa to heaven on his horseback. And these are things which are not questioned. And therefore, when you say faith is unquestionable, is part of the basic structure of the Constitution, how can you say that the Prime Minister cannot act according to his faith? As long as that faith doesn't clash with somebody else's faith. There is nothing going on there except the building of the temple or laying the foundation stone of the temple. And therefore, the Prime Minister is doing what every Hindu would do, to be present on such a great occasion. And he, being Prime Minister, laying the foundation stone is something that everybody wants. And that's why he's going there. So I don't think there is any substance whatsoever.
Okay.
Putting curbs on religion, that can be only done according to the Constitution on three bases. You've got to show it affects your morality. How does it affect your morality? Or that it will upset public order. There's no question of any public order. This was a judgment accepted by both sides. There's nothing that is being imposed. The government is not going and occupying somebody else's property and building a temple as the Muslim invaders used to do. Come into the temple, demolish it, and build a mosque. And the third thing is health. In what way? Whose health is affected? Not the Hindu's health. Perhaps Owaisi's health might be affected, or at least his mental balance is affected. So therefore, this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, that because of secularism, therefore the Prime Minister should not go. the Rashtrapati, Mr. Rajendra Prasad, despite the Prime Minister, Mr. Nehru, the super secular, and the intellectual godfather of all these people who are today speaking about secularism, he also raised the objection he should not go, but he went, his cabinet ministers went. But he never made an issue afterwards, Mr.
Yes.
Jawaharlal Nehru. So therefore, I think what we have to learn is the definition of secularism. In our Sanskrit literature, we have defined Sarva Dharma Samabhava. That is, we treat all religions as equal. All religions, Hindus believe, lead to God. Christians don't believe that. They say, my way or you're possessed by the devil. And the Muslims say, my way or you're a kafir. And you know what will happen to kafirs. So therefore, ours is the most liberal religion of the world, where we accept, and you can build a mosque here, you can build a church here. You can't build a temple in Saudi Arabia, you can't build it in Qatar, you can't believe in Kuwait, you can't build it in 99% of the Muslim countries. And in Turkey, you just got I think it was mutually agreed during Kemal Mustafa period that original church which was built after demolishing a masjid, which masjid was built after...
Yes. Yes.
He has converted it, and there is no objection from Owaisi.
Yeah.
He should condemn that also.
In fact, there was support. In fact, there has been support from a Kerala party, as you know, that is a ally of the Congress. But Dr. Swamy, you talked about faith. Now, the SC in its Ayodhya judgment said, it is true that in matters of faith and belief, the absence of evidence may not be evidence of absence. That's what they said. But don't you think that the court in its final findings contradicted the same logic and put unfair onus on Muslim side to prove possessions between 1528 and 1857? This is a view that certain sections sympathetic to the Muslim point of view have taken, and Asaduddin Owaisi has come out and said that for him, Babri Masjid is a mosque and will remain one forever.
That's not the Muslim concept of a mosque. Mosque is a place to read namaz. That's why they're feeling
so aggrieved by the Prime Minister's presence.
No, they are selectively aggrieved. Ask them to read that constitutional bench judgment called Farooqi versus the Union of India, which is the basis on which the whole thing has happened, on which these petitions, these suits were revived and given to the Allahabad High Court to finalize. Now, what does that say? Please read paragraph 85, 86. It says very clearly that the constitutional bench majority judgment is that a mosque is not an essential part of Islam. It can be shifted, it can be demolished. And it has been so done during the British period. This is all there in the constitutional bench judgment of the Supreme Court 1994. And they will never address that. They will never own up to that. They'll say, if they are going to reject the Supreme Court, then it's a different matter. If they're going to reject constitutional bench judgments, then it's another matter. Then there's chaos. Then there's just numbers. Hindus are 82%. Let's not forget that. So let's not go into numbers. We have to see what the rule of law is. The rule of law is the Supreme Court has pronounced that the whole area should be given for the construction of a temple. Narasimha Rao had given an affidavit on behalf of the government of India, a secular government as there ever was, saying that if we find there was previously a temple, we will hand over the land to the Hindus. On a question asked by the Supreme Court of Mr. Narasimha Rao, or at least the Solicitor General,
yes,
what is the government stand? In that he has given the affidavit. Who objected? Nobody objected to that. And therefore, we have already found by the Archaeological Survey of India, in which one was a Hindu and one was a Muslim, K.K. Muhammad was the Muslim, both unanimously said that this space was built on top of a temple. And in fact, in Islam, it is you cannot build masjids on top of temples. You can demolish temples, but you can't build a masjid on top of a temple. That's what Shahabuddin used to say to me. You show it to me, proof that there was a temple. I myself will go and demolish the Babi Masjid that is there in the white paper produced by the Narasimha Rao government because during Chandrasekhar's period, I did much of the negotiations with Shahabuddin. He was a great friend of mine, very close friend, totally divergent in views, but we would debate. And that debate, he said this, and it's been recorded.
Okay. So you don't believe that the Prime Minister attending this will lend credence to some sort of Hindu revivalism in this country, or even at some level or the other, fears on part of the Muslim community that this will send a message of Hindu supremacy in this country, majoritarian instincts, etc., will be awakened? Because many, like Mr. Owaisi, or at least those who share his skepticism, have said, we will keep telling new generations that our masjid was demolished. What do you make of this? Haven't Hindu children also been told about temples that were demolished during Muslim rule in India? And since the demolition did happen, why shouldn't Muslims also feel a sense of grief and hurt about it, sir?
Well, you see, the thing is that as far as the Prime Minister is going, he's going there because he represents the people of India. He represents the rule of law in India. The law says that there shall be a temple. And he is going there to honor that. So there is no question. Of course, he is individually a Hindu. That's another matter. I believe that if Abdul Kalam had been the president today, he would have also come there himself. So that's the issue is how do you make an issue of this? And then if you say that the mosque was demolished, then I can give you 40,000 temples which have been demolished. And that's why the Hindus decided to bring a closure, said there are 3 temples which were demolished where their fundamental right of faith and faith come in. One is Mathura, where Krishna was born by the same principle as Ram Temple. And the other is where Lord Shiva himself planted in the country 12 Shivalingas, Jyotirlings as they are called. They are very special. Sardar Patel himself, when Somnath was being rebuilt, he said the importance of this temple is that it's a Jyotirling, which the temple houses. So therefore, we are not in favor of reviving every temple that was demolished by masjids. But we are certainly where it is something which is conflicts with our faith, that we will do. So other temples, there are Ram temples all over the country, but they are not the same thing as where Ram was born. We only say that Ram's Murti is there and their Prana Pratishtha Puja is there done, so we can address that Murti and it will be conveyed to Ram.
Right.
So therefore, I think what these people, these demagogues, they want to unite the Hindu Muslims, and it's a part of the international phobia that somehow Muslims must come together. There's a lot of clandestine work that is going on in this matter. So consequently, I would say that we should not worry about these people. I don't think the Muslims themselves are supportive of this. From my own informal poll, I have a Muslim in my family, and through him I can find out many things. And I will tell you that the Muslim poet Iqbal himself said, Imam-e-Hind for Ramchandra ji. And so Maryada Purushottam Ramchandra ji is also acceptable to Muslims. Muslim was the one who wrote the script for showing on Doordarshan Ramayan. So these people want division. They want consolidation of the Muslim vote, which is disintegrating, because suddenly all that propaganda which was there in the Congress rule has been evaporated. Okay. And that's why we don't have to pay attention.
Okay, let me move on to the other strand of criticism. They say that there are many other issues that need to be urgently addressed. There is COVID, there is the economy, the collapsing, tanking economy, according to some of these individuals. And the Prime Minister, instead of spending his time in Ayodhya, would be better served by, the nation would be better served if he would pay attention to some of these issues. And therefore, this particular puja should be performed like an e-puja, maybe it should even be postponed, etc., etc. Now, how do you respond to that argument? That's been made by the Sharad Pawars of the world, the Congress Party's top leadership. Yeah.
Right. Well, see, I can trivialize that. Well, you say that Modi shouldn't have a bath because that also takes time away from him fighting corona, the economy, China, all this. I mean, how can you say that the human mind can only take one issue at a time? And even if you took one issue at a time, there is a process by which these problems get solved. In the meantime, you can look at the other issues also. What is he doing? He's flying there. It will be a sum total of 4 hours. And you say that the corona and the economy and all that will suffer and collapse because of that. I mean, they are become incredulous. I jokingly said Sharad Pawar shouldn't go so often to Dubai because there is a lot of problem of corona in Maharashtra. He should be spending full time there. So therefore, one can always trivialize these things. And I don't think that such a august occasion should be
so
made
you're saying that this is...
by these things.
Okay, so don't trivialize this. Let's keep the discourse focused on the larger point that is being made here, which is the issue of Astha. Now, there are others, of course, who will say that this is an attempt by the Prime Minister to, and the BJP and others, maybe cabinet members who will land up there, to demonstrate in an opportunistic way a kind of political messaging, which is that, look, we are the saviors of the Hindu community. Yeah. You are basically rallying your base and you are promoting the Hindutva cause. What would you say to those people?
Well, we got elected on that appeal. I've always been saying that all this vikas and all will not get you elected. It is the fact that the people think, and we have come of age, the younger generation believes that the unity of Hindutva, Hindu values, these it does not be antagonistic to Muslim values and Christian values and Zoroastrian values or Buddhist values. It will be the Hindus rediscovering themselves, uniting them, breaking caste barriers. This is what Hindutva has achieved. And secondly, if we had not got this Ram temple issue, what would these very same people have said? Oh, every election they make this dunda, they go on saying, we will build it, it's all fraud, this is only to fool the people, they won't do it. And then why would somebody say that I am a Brahmin because I wear my janeu, or that I believe in God, Hindu gods? You know, they feel the pressure that earlier on they were dividing the Hindus on caste, region, language, and all that, and now the Hindus are uniting. In the meantime, because of our modernization of civil laws of the Muslims, like triple talaq, the Muslim women in a very large number this time voted for us. So they see these minorities cracking up. So therefore, I think they would like us now not to press this Hindutva card much more. And they seem to have also engaged people, liberals abroad, who are giving us lectures every day based on falsehood about what we are doing in our parliament.
No, but that's fine, because you do agree at some level that the construction cannot be divorced from Hindutva consolidation or Hindu consolidation. So there is a political agenda here also. But then what does that do to the Prime Minister's slogan, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Vishwas?
That's a banal slogan. I mean, I don't take that seriously at all. It's in the question is, if Sabka Vikas means you must have a machinery for that. And we have inherited and exploited machinery, and it's going to take time. And I've in the Narasimha Rao period, in the Chandrasekhar period, I argued that growth is the best way for reducing inequality for the moment. Over the period of time, and everybody gets equally educated, so on, other forces can be ignited. But at the moment, Indian society in the stage it is growth only that will bring about a better life for the poor. The poor also do not want equality. They want that they should be able to exist like human beings. And so there is no jealousy, there is no class struggle there. A class struggle cannot happen. The highest strata of our society in terms of respect is called the Brahmin caste. Now, of course, don't know today who Brahmins are, but the idea of a Tyagi and a Jnani being the most powerful part of our society was something we devised, where the economic wealth did not matter that much. And that's why Gandhi put a langoti and went around. People abroad used to laugh, this man half-naked fakir, how can he deliver freedom for India? When he doesn't know how to even properly wear his clothes. But that very thing that a barrister came from London and then, decided to dress like us, that is what motivated people. That's why Gandhi did it. He was a great tactician and he did it. So therefore, in our society today, to berate somebody who decides that he will, act according to his religion, without, of course, there are constitutional bars on what you can do with your religion. You don't have an absolute freedom of religion under a constitution. There are limitations. But subject to those limitations, there is nothing wrong with being proud of your religion.
Okay. Now let me ask you, since you raised the issue of Kashi and Mathura, what happens to those issues? Because the Supreme Court judgment in Ayodhya, in fact, upholds the Places of Worship Act of 1991 and says that Parliament has mandated in no uncertain terms that history and its wrongs shall not be used as instruments to oppress the present and the future. So will Hindus now hold back that demand because they are not having approached the courts to revisit that?
I have a writ petition being heard by the Supreme Court on the 7th of August. And it is precisely on this point. My point is this, that this law, 1991 law, that all religious institutions as of 1947 shall remain so, except in the case of the Ram Janmabhoomi. That was the law. But it is a law passed by Parliament. And I have a right to challenge its constitutionality. I am suggesting to the Supreme Court that yes, this law should be there. It's a very good law. We all support it, but it cannot conflict with my fundamental right. My fundamental right only gets invoked when my faith is attacked. And if I say that I will allow a masjid to be on where Lord Krishna was born, or that there will be a masjid on a temple built after Shiva had given us the Jyotirling, then I am violating my own fundamental faith. So the exception has to be made not only for Ram Janmabhoomi, but for these two. After these three, RSS, which is the largest organization and we all respect, they themselves have publicly stated that maybe 40,000 temples were destroyed, but there are only 3 that we want to liberate. So I would think that masjid can be built anywhere, according to Islamic law, as the Supreme Court Constitutional Bench says. So they should make an exception for these 2. And let's see what the Supreme Court says on my petition on the 7th.
Well, we'll leave it at that. Dr. Subramanian Swamy, thank you for speaking to us. It's been an engaging conversation, and we have really gone into the nuts and bolts of the objections that have been raised by the opposition. Thank you once again.